Okay. I think you have to authorize me and let me full screen.
No,
Okay. I can't
it's
see you.
recording. It's recording.
Yeah, it's recorded. Awesome.
Now you got to figure out a way to make it hold there. Susie, can you figure this out through some combination of?
I need to raise your volume a little. I don't know how.
Hang on a second. Okay, how's this?
It's perfection.
And why don't we get it to the
Is that Suzanne?
No, different Susie.
Okay. Hello, Susie. Hello. I hope my dog doesn't make an appearance. Let me start.
Did you just see my cat?
Here. You have a cat? I had no idea.
I have 3. This is
okay. I kind of envy the power of getting your animal with you, and like mine, I cannot even touch him if he's not into it.
Oh, she'll have words with me later. Her name is
okay.
Che Guevara.
All right. That's very gender fluid of you. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, I'm nothing if not progressive. You know that.
I know, right?
Why don't we get some, actually, not that. I would say let's put some tissues, stack some tissues underneath to hold that up at just the correct angle.
Well, okay. I'm not going to lie. I checked all the best angles for my.
Okay, how about a few more tissues?
Beneath
I have to say, I feel like I'm showing up to take you to the opera. You look beautiful.
Right. You haven't seen what's outside of the screen. So anyway, but so let's start. First of all, so we are recording already, and I want to make this as open as possible. By the way, I find it seminal, the thing that you did once. I don't know if it was with Business Week or something that you ended up. So the guy published the interview with you, and he, of course, let it all out, but not his questions and the way he lured you into saying what he wanted or how he buttered you up. And then you published the whole thing. So let's do it. I mean, let's be as, remember that? That should be taught in journalism school. So anyway.
I know that you are a credible journalist, Ms. Schmitt, and I applaud you. You know, the Iran-Contra scandal. Sorry, I just came in from a walk outside in the mountains 10 minutes ago.
No problem.
Just a moment.
Take your time.
The you can edit this, you know, right? The Iran-Contra.
Yeah, but I'd rather not. That's the thing. That's why I'm telling you. By the way, before we continue, a little disclaimer for whoever is watching this or will watch. Patrick and I have known each other for a while. We met in Beirut. So I would try to be as journalistic and non-friendly as possible, always polite and civilized. But so they should be exposed. So
you were doing a master's degree on Hezbollah, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, not really Hezbollah, but yes, I was doing a master's in Middle Eastern politics.
Beautiful book you did on the political signage of Lebanon. That was a beautiful book.
Yeah, and by the way, thank you for reading it. And you made some notations, so.
It was lovely. It was smart. And I not only do I know that you're a credible journalist, I want to remind you that the Iran-Contra was broken by a paper in Beirut, Lebanon in like 1986, that scandal. It wasn't broken in Washington. Did you know that it was some little paper?
But anyway, I think the Iran-Contra is like a, what is it, controlled, what is it called? Yeah, no, it's, there is a what is it? Limited hangout. I really think it is. I think there was something way shadier happening. It's like, oh, which American wouldn't like to know that their government is actually breaking an embargo to fight the communists in Nicaragua? Come on, that's way too beautiful. I mean, that's way too.
Not out of the question that this scandal, and I think we're turning now to what I put online, could break first in Brazil.
Okay, so let's go straight to your story, because it's fantastic, it's amazing, and if
reads
only
as the
half of
same-
it is true, by the way, it's shocking enough and should be taken seriously and should have consequences, legal, I mean.
Well, as they
So
say
Patrick,
in theater,
mm,
as they say in theater, it reads better than it played.
oh, I'm sure. I don't
And
know actually. I don't know actually. But anyway, Patrick, so for the people watching, can you explain in just a few words what you told me and what is written on those 20-ish pages that you wrote as
Yeah. The main event is that, well, I went public a year ago that I had been asked to be involved with this Maria Butina woman who was imprisoned as a Russian agent.
Can we go back to Hillary first? Sorry, I want to make the chronology. I know that was your last chapter. Let's go a bit to halfway into the story so people don't get too lost.
Well, so I'm going to, okay, so fair enough. So they came in the middle of that and asked me to get
They
involved.
who? I know you call them Men in Black. Can we be less cute?
Okay, I'm going to just say it one time because it's against my grain.
Oh, okay.
I'll just, it was the FBI.
It was the FBI. Okay.
And they came to me and they said, hey, we have something more important for you to work on. We're setting Hillary Clinton up in a sting and we want you to bribe Hillary Clinton.
We want you to bribe Hillary Clinton. Okay.
Yes, they wanted me to facilitate a bribe for Hillary Clinton. Now, I'm going to leave some things out that will bother your journalistic mind. That's none of the public's business.
I will ask, and you are totally entitled to say.
By a vow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is what they told me was happening. They first explained how a sting works. And a sting has to work as opposed to entrapment. A cop can't just walk up to a stranger and say, hey, you want to buy some cocaine? Because the guy said, yes, maybe he wasn't going to buy it anyway. So they have to wait till the person has done certain things called predicate acts. They explained all this to me that establish that they have a disposition to buy the cocaine, and then the undercover cop can sell it, and then it's a good sting, a good bust. So they said in that case, what was going on in the FBI was this. There were two groups in the FBI investigating Hillary. The email group, which was a whitewash, but a group in New York who was going after her financials, the Clinton financial empire. And they told me these people mean business. They also told me Comey. So this is late 2015. They said, is this too much detail?
Maybe, because I would like to be as general at the beginning as possible so that we funnel it later on to those who are curious about, what you call salacious details, which I don't, but.
I'll stay at the headline level. They asked me to set up Hillary Clinton and a bribe. They told me she had taken a bribe from a foreign government. They told me the government, how much it was, low tens of millions. They said that established, we now have the right to set her up in a sting. And that group in New York is sending for you to help facilitate a bribe to her. And how I was to do that, there was another foreign government that they believed wanted to pay a bribe. And
okay, wait a second, sorry. Until then, you thought, I imagine, that they were just trying to fight corruption. I mean that, okay.
And even
why would, if that is the case, why would they go for someone who is not necessarily a funder of Hillary Clinton, doesn't seem to have much access? You are a known libertarian?
Pass. All kinds of questions about me. I'm just going to tell you, go buy a vowel. Do your own research.
All right, no worries. But I have to ask, I mean, why Patrick Byrne? You are not a Democrat to begin with.
Well, I was already doing this stuff regarding Maria Butina at the time. I was having meetings, having conversations about that. They had me switch. And, back when I fought Wall Street, and you may have to explain this to your viewers, but I fought Wall Street. And I did a bunch of things like this that helped them put 200 people in handcuffs.
Right. I'm going to put links here for people to follow. By the way, sorry, a bit of a little background on you. Your bona fides to me are established when I know that you, for example, your fight against Wall Street, that was considered by many people to be a little outlandish, or that some people said that you were trying to protect overstock and therefore you kept diverting attention to naked short selling, etc. But in fact, you managed to even win a lawsuit against Goldman Sachs, correct?
Well, we won 2 lawsuits. Goldman was out by the time we won. But yeah, anyone who's paying attention, everyone knows we were correct.
But just a second, tell us, because no, this type of detail establishes that the American justice considered your arguments reliable enough, or worthy of being taken into consideration first for a lawsuit to happen, and then for you to have won it. So you did win, correct? And how much money was that?
35 million. But
35 million. Okay.
Even more important to me, and you know how much it costs to put it on? 34 million.
Oh my God. Okay, so the only guys winning, of course, are the lawyers.
Well, and the American people, I hope. But anyway, the better convincing proof point is that when everything collapsed in 2008, Alan Greenspan went before Congress and he said, at the heart of all this, what's really happened is a settlement crisis, which is exactly what I had been predicting for 3 years. And everyone thought,
Did you actually use the word settlement?
About 10,000 times. But don't look on Deep Capture. It's in the summary. It's in the settlement crisis. It's all about a settlement crisis. And that's exactly what was underneath all the fraud, the Bernie Madoff stuff, and the mortgage-backed securities, which is what Greenspan said to Congress. So that might convince people too. The Wall Street Journal at the end of 2008 came out with an article and said there were 5 people around the world who saw this. It was like Nassim Taleb, Nouriel Roubini, but one was me. And it was very begrudging because the journal hates me. But they
you have this article that you can link. You can send me the link later.
Yeah, it's online. I'll go find it.
Okay.
It's in deep.
I mean, I would like to put it on the comments of on the description of this video.
So anyway, because of that background, and because I was trying to help Yenta, Maria Butina, into a peaceful. Maria Butina wanted to be a back channel for peace, like lots of young idealistic women scattered around the world.
You believe that?
Yeah, I believe that she is what she thinks she is. There's a question of what's above her in my mind. There's a question of what's above her. The Russians have a long history back from the czars of setting up fake
motivations,
protest movements, and seeing who shows up.
Not that
but the czar, this was like the Cheka. This is what they did. Some people say that's that Stalin did this in the 1920s too, when he took charge. There was a worldwide movement against the Soviet Union that turned out to be being run.
It makes sense though, because then you have the fervor is already there. You just need to convince the person that you're on their side.
So I think she is what she thinks she is. It's a question in my mind, what went on above her. It meant a lot to me that she was named by General Mikhail Kalashnikov. You know that part of the story? 90-year-old General Kalashnikov instructed her to open this organization.
All right.
And put his name on it. He selected this 24-year-old Russian girl. I think that actually meant something.
But wasn't this the one when she came to visit to NRA and?
I thought we weren't going to confuse your audience. We're going to have a nice linear narrative.
Right.
But do you want to
bounce around? Let's try. Okay.
Because I was doing that stuff regarding Maria. They came to me in the middle of that and said, we have something more important for you to work on. We need you to facilitate a bribe for Hillary Clinton. They explained the legal theory of a bribe. They told me she's taken one bribe in the low tens of millions. They told me how much and from whom they thought, but they wanted to set her up in a sting and get it all recorded and or gather harder evidence, I suppose. And so they had permission to set them up for a second bribe. Mm-hmm. My assignment, there was another government that they believed wanted to pay her a bribe. It was a government I'd never been to, a country I'd never been to. They asked me to find a way to befriend that government, find the bag man, and create the following state of affairs. Within 2 months, somewhere there will be a room where Hillary Clinton and that bag man are standing alone together for 10 minutes. So create that state of affairs any way you can, Byrne, you go about it. So it's up to me to go figure out how to do that and befriend the government, find the bag man, et cetera. So but I'm not going to go into any more details on that. So
you won't tell what's the country that bribed Hillary? You said on your Twitter that that's a salacious detail. It's, I mean, it's an essential detail.
There are two countries. There's a bribe number one, which justified the sting. There's a bribe number two, different countries. I can tell you the first country, what I will tell you is that bribe number one was in the low tens of millions and bribe number two was in the teens of millions.
Okay.
And I can tell you that about 6 weeks.
Clinton Foundation, I imagine.
And I can tell you that 6 weeks after that assignment, there came a point where we were 13 hours away from Hillary having accepted to step into the room in a way that would create no mark in her schedule. And if you want the salacious detail of that, I can even tell you how that was done.
I would love that, because because you say in your thingy, in your release, that there were steps A, B, C, D, and then you only tell us E, which is when the curtain fell down on you. So yeah, I would love. No, it would be nice to please. That's awesome. Go ahead.
Imagine, and I'm just going to use the example of a hotel, hypothetically. I'm not saying it was a hotel. But imagine that Hillary was in room 801 of a hotel. And in the morning, a limousine is supposed to pick her up at 9 o'clock in the morning. Imagine she leaves her room at 8:48 and she stops on the 4th floor and goes into room 405 for 10 minutes.
Right.
And then at 8:59, she walks out she's in her limo at 9. Her schedule shows that that shows up nowhere. So imagine something like that, whether it was a hotel or I'm using that as just a mechanism to explain something else.
Okay.
I'm giving you a little bit more detail. That's how it was done. And that's how it was done. However, like I say, 13 hours beforehand, a curtain comes down over things for me. By the way, I should tell you something. When I came public last summer.
Please hold this. Little recap for our watchers, our viewers. Patrick was recruited by the FBI to kind of set Hillary up or prepare a situation in which she would willingly accept a bribe. But when it came the time for him to witness the very thing he was recruited to do, or he volunteered to do. I mean, this is just a semantical question. But when it came the time, you say that the curtain fell down on you, i.e. you were told to.
No, it's not. It's more that the construction, I'm in the background. I never met Hillary Clinton. Hillary's never heard of me.
Okay, all right.
In the
so
background,
you wouldn't have witnessed this exchange anyway. Okay.
Nobody had to do anything. I was in the background pulling strings and making some arrangements and nudging things. So I was like in the background to the background. She would have no idea about me, but I pulled this together.
Okay.
So it was just the nature of things. I wasn't even the city as this came together. I wasn't even the same city. And as of 13 hours before, everything was working super slick. And then, but the mission goes on and I'm not part, I don't hear anything for 2 days, for 3 days.
Like you asked them, so what happened?
Well, the men in black showed up in my life after 2 or 3 days and I was all excited. Hey, so she showed up, did she take it?
Did it work?
Did it work? We're popping champagne. And instead they said, they didn't tell me if she had shown up. They told me, Patrick, this mission has been scrubbed. We need you to forget every moment, every second of this. And we mean it. Every moment of this has to be
you who can memorize a deck of cards. Right.
Oh, I said, well, why is that, fellas? I don't get it. And they said, this mission's been scrubbed because it's been decided at the highest levels, look, Hillary's unstoppable. This was almost a year before the election. They said, Hillary's unstoppable. Nothing's going to be able to beat her. First thing she's going to do when she comes into power is send her goons over to the FBI to say who investigated Hillary Clinton. Anyone who was involved in it, we're all going to be destroyed. This includes you, Patrick. And that's why we're telling you, we need you to promise you have forgotten every moment of this. I said, sure. And I went home and I thought about, pardon me, how rude, drinking my greens.
No, it's really, it's deserved.
Brazilians,
The perfect sound effect.
the secret to health is one green shake a day. My life.
It's funny that you are healthier than all of us. I mean, you cancer riddled, but look at you. Still parachuting? Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
This is one-eyed Jack.
Oh, really? Habibi. Oh, he has only one eye.
Yes. And then Che Guevara, to whom I introduced you earlier, has a sister and she has no eyes. So I have 3 cats with 3 eyes.
Oh my God. Don't make me cry at this interview. Okay. Seriously, fuck, man.
So shall I go ahead with this?
Go ahead. So the FBI, recapping, explained to you that, oh, she's going to be elected and she's going to come after us, including you. So forget what you saw and the mission is over.
So I went home and I thought about that. And it didn't quite sit right for a few reasons. One, it was dishonorable. And these FBI guys really, I mean, I dealt with them on Wall Street. All I can say is I'm a libertarian. I'm not a big fan of the government, but I've always been kind of quite pleasantly surprised. Anyway, they're honorable straight shooters. It wasn't like them to ever come back and tell me something like that. Secondly, there's 3 reasons. That was one reason. Secondly, if they were going to think that way, they would have, where they should have done that analysis before they.
Right. I mean, the excuse is really silly. As I was reading your stuff, I thought, Patrick is not going to believe this. And indeed, you say it right after that you couldn't be convinced by such a flimsy excuse.
And also, it didn't seem right because we lived through the 90s having a Clinton in the White House that was under perpetual investigation. So what are we going to do? Are we going to have another Clinton in the White House they already know this. They could have me in front of a grand jury in a week, along with a couple other people, and they could have indicted her. And so just didn't make it. And we were almost a year before the election.
It didn't make any sense.
So I'm going to prop this up just an inch more.
I must warn you that I don't think the second excuse makes any sense either, but apparently you do. So we're going to
second excuse
delve into that.
It's been confirmed to me.
Come on. Okay, go ahead. So our viewers know what we're talking about. So you didn't believe the excuse from the FBI and you required a second meeting.
I went back and this time they brought a kind of another guy who looked a bit like a killer. Well, he is a killer. And this time it really funny. He looks right out of Hollywood Central casting for a CIA killer. I'm not CIA, but I mean government. I'm speaking philosophically or metaphorically, but he just looks like a tough guy.
Say no more. I'm gonna fall in love. I'm joking.
He's a handsome guy. But they said, and I told them this just isn't sitting right, fellas. Come clean with me. And there was a lot of hemming and hawing and talking about life, and it was quite strange. And take a break and eat some muffins, and people whisper a little bit to me. And I started putting the pieces together, but eventually this is what they made clear to me. And this is the secret that explains the last 4 years of American history. And the secret is, they said, how do they put it? Look, Hillary is going to be president for the next 8 years. Nothing's going to stop that.
8 or 4?
8.
Okay.
I mean, the election is 4, but if she got
right,
nothing's going to stop that. But Barack Obama has his people across the federal bureaucracy at this point, but especially the Department of Justice. And this information about this bribe you were part of gathering is going to be sitting on, let us say, a Bunsen burner. And you know what a Bunsen burner is? High school chemistry.
The thing with the flame?
Yeah. The thing with the flame and it's going to be sitting on a Bunsen burner in the Department of Justice. And that all that information is going to be sitting on a Bunsen burner, and the hand on the Bunsen burner is going to be one of Barack Obama's people. Hillary comes in, she'll be president for 8 years. If she's a good girl and defends Obamacare, that hand keeps the flame nice and low. if she's a bad girl, starts thinking for herself and such, the flame's going to get turned up high. That way, Barack Obama is going to manage Hillary Clinton for 8 years. And then she's going to step down and Michelle is going to run. And Patrick,
Okay.
oh, no, don't interrupt. You can't step on the punchline. Then she's going to step down and Michelle's going to run. And Patrick, that's the plan. Now, it has been confirmed to me, I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but it has been confirmed to me that there was a formal plan set up by Brennan and Obama with a very clever name.
Brennan and Obama, okay. CIA.
They have found, this is all, they have found this plan. This has been confirmed to me this summer. Uncle Sam, I should be clear, Uncle Sam was very frosty with me when I went public last year. And I got a message from Uncle Sam saying, you owe us 15 years for having done that. But there are extraordinary
15 in jail? Is that what you mean?
Yes, for what I did. So kind of, I'm really coming out with the other 85 because let's make it an even buck. What I'm coming out with now, what I came out with last year was 15%. What I'm telling you now is the other 85. This was all a setup by Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton. And Trump won in a fluke, and it was a soft coup set up by Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton. Trump won in a fluke, and it morphed into the Russian collusion delusion. And I say that as the guy that both had bribing Hillary Clinton and shagging Maria Butina. So I'm a guy who knows about as much as this.
Okay, please, whenever you are finished, I want to question you because I find this.
Fire away.
Okay, so you believe that they lied in their first explanation and yet they were truthful in the second. And the second was Barack Obama wanted kompromat on Hillary, wanted some crime that he would know about Hillary and use it against her for two purposes, apparently. One, to keep Obamacare for the next 8 years, right? When she got elected. And the second purpose was that she would favor or try to guarantee the election of Michelle Obama. Is that correct?
More than that, I'd say first Obamacare, second, she would take ongoing instructions from him for his 8 years. And then she steps down and it's Michelle. And, you know, they can do things, gangsters can do things that make, so they get elected and they never get out of office. You know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we have this.
With the electoral system, all kinds of things. So that's what, we would never, it'd be the last, we would never have a non-progressive president again.
Okay, so let me ask you something first about Obamacare. Why was it something so dear to Barack Obama? I mean, to the point that he would...
Well, I think that may have just been the agent's way of explaining to me. I think but Obamacare is very important. For 100 years, the left in America has been trying to get socialized medicine because they believe that if you get socialized medicine, it's a guarantee you never get taken out of power. You have a hard left.
Oh, is that why? Not because they actually want the people to be served with a good health care and free?
Well, if you want to talk economics, we have to be much more precise.
Yeah, no, I hope we will have that interview one day soon.
It's a question of how is it paid for? Everyone wants everyone to have good healthcare. I want everyone to have good healthcare. Is the government the right mechanism to provide that? Or to what degree is the government the right mechanism? Right. Is a legitimate question. The left has always wanted it because once you have it, once you give benefits to people, they never get taken away, and it would lock in a democratic leadership for a century. So although Obamacare was the example used, I think that the agents were speaking more in generality, like explaining how it would work. That she was going to take orders from Obama for 8 years. And
okay, Patrick, one of the reasons why I find this story outlandish is the very fact that Hillary was never elected. So like because in your paper or in your report, you say that they said Hillary will be elected and there is no way out of it.
Well, remember, the New York Times had her at 97%. She was always held at 91 to 97% likely of winning.
Right.
Everyone in Washington, it was a foregone conclusion she was going to win. I knew no one who thought Trump was going to win. Out here in the hinterland, some of us thought it. But no, the New York Times was putting it at 97%.
But the New York Times is not the FBI. And if they are actually, puppeteering behind the scenes, they should, to me, to be quite honest, I don't doubt the good thing about this report we have and the fact that I've known you for so long. And even when so many people said that you were crazy and didn't know what you're talking about, you were actually proven right by history, by what happened in America. But having said that, I believe that what you're saying happens, it's true. I don't know if I believe your interpretation of it. So I don't doubt that the FBI guys did tell you this, probably because it would be the easiest way for you, a libertarian, anti-Obamacare or a statewide.
Nothing has to do with Obamacare. Nothing has to do with Obama. To me, it's the Constitution.
No, but you see, if they had said this was a plan. Think
this
about
doesn't
it.
go on.
If they had said that this is a plan
That's
to
why
actually,
it has nothing to do with. I don't care what Obamacare. None of that has anything to do with the analysis. The analysis is this is a coup, and as a citizen, I have a duty to stop it. That's the entire.
Okay, but weren't you favoring? You voted for Gary. What's his name?
I bent over backwards. Gary Johnson, the libertarian.
Right.
Listen, if I favored Trump, I would have gone public with this 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I've bent over backwards, so no one could say I've bent over backwards to try to work within the system. I'm not anymore because they decided not to bring the indictments until after the election. And I told them a year ago, they said, you owe us 15 years in jail, but keep your mouth shut. We agree there's extraordinary circumstances. We're not going to throw you in jail because keep your mouth shut till after the election. And I said, that's fine, but I'm not ethically comfortable with a solution. They said, keep your mouth shut till after the election. Let us do our job. Let the process work. And I said, fine, as long as it's understood that I'm not ethically comfortable with, if you folks do nothing before the election, I am coming forward. And I said that a year ago. Well, 2 weeks ago, they announced that the Durham investigation can't finish before the election. So I'm just not sitting quiet.
Okay, so basically what you're saying, if this is true, that Barack Obama now has enough kompromat on Hillary, correct?
Well,
he will make use or not of.
Well, the federal government has it now too. You know, in the course of them conducting investigations, sometimes they hate it, but they have to show you stuff. That, do you know this? Have you seen this person before? Have you ever heard of this and that? So in that process, I have learned, and it has been confirmed to me, I'm not going to tell you the name, but they have unearthed all this. It was a formal mission of Operation Candy Cane. Think of it like something like that. And it had it had a name. It was Brennan's name for.
There was a name? Okay, just a second. Can Brennan and Comey sue you for this?
I'm not worried about that.
No, but can they? I mean, do they have the necessary grounds to actually sue you for libel or something like that?
Probably 100 years of felonies. That's what I mean by between coming public last time and coming public today about all this. If last year was 15 years, I owed them I owe them another 85.
I see what you mean. Okay, might as well die there.
You know my rabbi. You know about my rabbi. Right?
Yeah, Buffett. Yeah.
And Buffett says, screw that. You're a citizen. You have an obligation. You go public. And you don't worry about it.
Okay.
They got their job to do. You got your job to do. Your job is to come public. He's mad I waited even this long. I kept on thinking I thought that they hate me now. Let me be clear. They hate me. But I got told, look, just sit quietly because it's going to be hitting in May. We're going to be bringing all of it forward in May. And then COVID hit, and May became June, and then June became the end of the summer. And then in a week ago or 10 days ago, they said, you
were not told to edit your story or to
No, This is, in fact, if anything, I am stripping about 70%. I'm taking all the details. When I gave it to them, it has names, dates, locations, agents, everything.
Aren't you afraid you're going to end up like, I don't know, eating a poisonous fig or something?
Polonium.
Exactly. You're gonna, isn't there some polonium in your juice?
It's crossed my mind. It's
Dude,
crossed
but
my mind.
this, of course, I mean, and you know how they do now. I mean, it's not even gonna look like you were assassinated. You're just like you slipped in the shower.
Well, I think coming forward,
They make sure it looks embarrassing.
you know, I figure if they blow me up, I win. If they blow
this
me
is for
up,
sure, but it's not
that was
like,
my attitude with Wall Street.
well, that's not how they do it anymore. You're gonna be hit by a deranged taxi driver.
Yeah, well, I'm leading a pretty reclusive life these days.
Is your location known?
If they do, they do. That's okay. If they do that, well, you understand the rest of the story because you've read it. You understand that this was really like a lifetime or a 14-year mission coming to a culmination.
Look, I have no doubt that you are not fabricating it. It's just the parts that haven't been said, not by you, by the guys who are recruiting you, like the coffin and stuff. All of that then is based on your interpretation of what the coffin mean. Also, by the way, you say you were shown a illegal by other, what's the name of the letter that kind of like exempts you from being
I wasn't shown. It was called an acts otherwise illegal letter, and actually,
acts otherwise illegal, yeah.
Once they told me, when they asked me to do this, I asked for an acts otherwise illegal letter, which is a letter that the government can give you.
I searched for this mechanism. I didn't know it existed, and I couldn't find it, to be honest.
Well, it exists. It's
okay, but it's not written anywhere.
Probably. Doesn't surprise me.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me either.
At the end of the day, I don't think anything like that got written because I said I'm going to need such a letter. When they came back a couple days later, they told me, we've been instructed to tell you we can't give you a letter, but the director says if you'll come to DC, we can show you a letter, or you can be shown a letter. And I said, oh, so this is coming from the director. And 2 federal agents simultaneously said,
right.
And the director and the president, and 2 federal agents said,
right.
So,
and according to you, they were doing that begrudgingly. They were not happy to be.
They were excited. We were all excited about the mission. You know, I actually like Obama, and I was happy to do anything he wanted me to. No, I actually, I mean, I was, you know,
You're so full of surprises, Patrick.
This was actually, I'll tell you something, it is in the story. This was my 3rd presidential request from Barack Obama. And Barack Obama isn't the first.
I have to invite you over to Brazil so we can.
So I was happy to do this for him. But when it all turned out to be a coup, I wasn't happy about that. So anyway, that's what really has gone on. This was all, by the way, yesterday, some amazing news broke in the United States. It's not in the mainstream news yet, but you should look into this stuff that broke yesterday. A whistleblower from the CIA has come forward with a story about Osama bin Laden and Benghazi and the shooting down of that Chinook helicopter with 38 military personnel in it, with the 21 SEALs that were part of the SEAL Team 6 unit that schwacked Osama. That was some amazing news came out yesterday.
Sorry, so that means that these people were killed and we have never been told?
No, we were told. People forget that about a month after the raid on UBL, there was a helicopter shot down in Afghanistan that had like almost everybody who had been on that raid. Almost everybody. It was like 15, there's 21 SEALs had been on that raid. Information came out yesterday and they're coming out with, they say that they're releasing audios and paperwork and everything today, that this was all.
We already know the raid wasn't like we saw in the Oscar movie. What's her name?
What they say is that for 10 years, and I believe this, UBL was in Iran. And then Iran offered
in Iran.
in the northeast of Iran, there was a community of about 100 Al-Qaeda leaders and their families that Iran hosted. They finally offered him back to the United States. They offered him back to the United States, and Biden and Brennan and Hillary said, we want a trophy kill. Let's make it a trophy kill. And they moved them. So they told the Iranians to move them to
Come on, they
Pakistan.
moved them to Pakistan. They called ISI. No.
And then after they staged this whole thing, and Obama won his election in part on he got Osama bin Laden. The Iranians, according to this whistleblower, came back and said, we have your head in our noose. We can go public now and expose that this whole thing was staged. And it was on that basis that Obama signed off on the $152 billion JCPOA deal. It was really a hush money. And this,
At 152, you mean like what the United States already owed as an, remember that they owed Iran money that they just blocked and for, I don't know, 30 years? Oh, you didn't know. I'm sorry.
Whatever, he paid it. There were a lot of other people.
So you mean, sorry, so you mean to say that the Iran deal is related to that?
Yes, it was payoff. The reason he did such a generous deal was payoff. You got to read this yesterday. I mean, it's
oh
big
my God, I'm gonna I can't wait, but I hope we can still have a second part here, because in 10 minutes.
Part of this news is that Obama was not informed of the decision on the raid on UBL, that they waited to inform him. He was on a golf course. They waited till after it was launched and the helicopters were in Pakistan airspace and before they told him. And Clinton and Brennan blackmailed him afterwards with their knowledge that this was all a big charade, and that they were blackmailing him. And we just learned this yesterday, but that would make sense why in 2016 he's coming to me or 2015, sending for me to create kompromat on Hillary.
My God, I can't keep up.
I don't want to go into that's a very interesting thing that broke yesterday. It looks
Patrick, by the way, remember that we talked about your, slight descriptions of the senators that supposedly or that allegedly met with you to show you the letter that showed that you were being kindly recruited by the American government to do something that other people could not do.
Yeah,
when you were shown the letter.
They were shown the letter.
Some of the senators, was some of them Barack Obama?
No, but other than that, I'm not going to say.
Okay, because there's one guy on the internet trying, like, being a sleuth about it. And
I'm not going to say anymore, because if then you guess one and I say no comment, you're going to know that. So I'm not going to give any more.
Yeah, you have to give the same answer to all.
That was sure. No, none were him. They were all old men at that time, and they were from both parties. This happened in 2006. And they said it had not been done since World War II. Okay,
since your release, have you been contacted by any of the people that you politely don't expose? And you say, it's not gentlemanlike, and you are expecting them to reach out to you and say, I'm willing to disclose my name and to verify you haven't got.
No, I haven't reached out. No one's reached out to me. I think you're going to see by next week, this all in the news in the United States. I think what's happening is I've heard that my letter anyway, I think that you're going to hear, I think that next week you're going to see a lot of validation for all this stuff, because we can't have a national election without getting this on the table. So I believe that next week you're going to start seeing validation of what you're hearing about first. You heard about it here on Paula Schmitt's
I don't even have a channel, but yeah.
By the time you even get this online, is it going to be next week? It'll all be validated.
Did you see a little face here, Nietzsche?
Say again?
Nietzsche is here, getting jealous, but.
Oh, your dog.
Okay, my dog.
Only you.
Finally found a man I love. I'm joking. Anyway, okay, so nobody has reached out to you to confirm your, one of the few.
I view myself as beyond all that. I've got a royal straight flush. I've laid on the table. I don't care who believes me, who doesn't believe me. The
Yeah,
world is.
it looks like it. It looks like you have reached that level of.
I'm not in the convincing business. Believe what you
I mean,
want.
the fact that, look, the fact that you name Brennan and Comey, and I mean, you couldn't have named, and Obama even, you couldn't have made a more blatant and serious accusation. So your courage or fearlessness is kind of established, right?
Thank you.
I'm not trying to massage your ego. Your ego is naturally self-massaged, but but I don't know this story. I swear, Patrick, I have like I think I should read it again because.
Does it surprise you at all? I'm kind of surprised. It would surprise
No,
you.
I know. I mean, I'm supposed to know a lot about espionage, and I've read enough, and I've met many people. But it's because it's so convoluted. Like the idea that Barack Obama, I mean, like even the idea that he wouldn't have by then kompromat on Hillary. My God, I don't think Hillary is clean. So he probably would have had a lot of stuff on her by then. Do you know what I mean? 2015. What?
Yeah, I don't know all the details. I can just tell you my little piece of it, and this all happened. I want to be clear. I'm not a spy by any means. I'm not a spy. I have been told more recently that my official designation is an expert, and that's
expert, just not a friendly, or an asset.
No, I'm not an asset. I'm not a spy or anything. I've been told my designation is something called an expert, which means the government once in a while, like every couple of years, shows up and ask me questions. What do I think about this? What do I think about what I think about what the Chinese think we're going to do, our Federal Reserve is going to do, and things like this. So it's an expert. I'm just a guy they consult. I'm not an asset, a spy.
I understand that when it came to Wall Street and how far ahead you were with the naked short selling. That I mean,
that's the kind of thing. That's it. So I'm like an expert.
Right. So you were an expert on what in the case of Hillary?
Well,
on Maria Butina, on the booty. Sorry.
Oh, hey, she's a fine girl. You remember what it was like to be young and trying to change the world off in distant lands?
Right. Yeah, I have a slight memory.
Imagine you'd gotten picked up as a spy in Beirut. Okay, young lady, are there any more questions I can?
No, there is a lot, but let's, because by the way, I have to turn on the light. There is no light here. And are you busy afterwards? I mean, can we set up another interview for us to go in? I'm going to link your story, the last chapter of Deep Capture, onto this video and some other stuff, because I wonder if people actually got anything from this other than my pleasant face and your...
and that's reward enough.
No, seriously, because it was so like, it was a bit personal to me, because there are so many like loose ends that I would like to reconnect.
Well, that's fine with me. Absolutely. Why don't you do one story and release one video so I can see it?
Okay.
And then I'll keep you ahead of the rest of the world. I think that what's going to happen, I believe, is that because the Durham Commission did not get its indictments done before the election, that other people in Washington are quite rightfully saying, then that's going to be the Durham history book. It's gone from being
I was wondering if they are postponing it.
Yeah, we need to know before the election. And some people have said, if that's the truth, if he's not coming out after the election, people who know that I'm telling the truth, and there's others like me. And I think this is all getting exposed. I think before the election, like it's going to be confirmed.
I see. Okay. So if you are willing, I'm going to look into some more details in your story and see how they jive with the Durham Commission investigation.
Sure, please do.
Okay. Patrick, thank you so much. I'm a fan with lots of questions, but yeah, always a fun. And I admire, I remember that video about Wall Street. I love it, about you taking them behind the barn.
Yeah.
I tried to find it the other day. I couldn't. I don't know if YouTube kind of deleted
Let's,
it.
you know them.
Okay,
Let's talk.
anyway.
Let's talk.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Suzanne, for the mediation, and we talk soon.
I look forward to it. Obrigado.
Ciao. De nada, Patrick.